I'm Dave Burkus. They call me Mr. Trend, and you're watching Eye on Business.
I'm Kevin McDonald, and you're watching Eye on Business. And I'm here actually to introduce a new segment for Eye on Business, and that segment is going to be with Dr. Shan Steinmark, and it is going to be called Innovation, and I really hope you'll watch.
Welcome to Eye on Business. I'm Dr. Shan Steinmark, and we are initiating a new segment on Eye on Business called Innovation. So each month we will focus on innovative companies, their innovative products, and the innovative leaders. We hope you will tune in to Eye on Business to watch this new exciting series on innovation. Okay, tonight on Eye on Business, we're going to turn the tables on Kevin McDonald a little bit. Normally he's your regular host, and today he's going to be our featured guest. So Kevin, welcome to Eye on Business, and welcome to the opposite chair.
Thanks.
And today we want to get to know you a little bit better. So maybe to start, you can just fill us in a little bit about your day job. What do you do when you're not here on Eye on Business?
Oh God, I don't know if there's enough time in a half an hour to cover all of that. Well, my day job primarily, I run an organization called Alvaca Networks, which is a network services and security company. I'm the executive vice president there, and I also run the compliance division. So my expertise is assisting organizations in dealing with their security and their government and regulatory compliance and keeping the bad guys from the government away.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Now I also know you're heavily involved in the community. You're doing all kinds of things beyond your day job.
Yeah.
So can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, my big gig right now is I'm the chairman of the Orange County Crime Stoppers organization, which is a really phenomenal group. Was started by a woman by the name of Patricia Wentz-Kunis in association with the Orange County Sheriff's Department and the chiefs of police from many of the departments in Orange County. Basically, Orange County Crime Stoppers does web a tip, call-in tips, or texting tips. Effectively, it's a crime tip organization that provides anonymous ability for people without retribution to provide information on crimes, and I happen to be the chairman of the board of that organization. Okay. I also advise several other not-for-profits and legislators and so on the issues of crime prevention and security.
Now, what got you into that line of work, or that line of volunteering, I guess?
Well, you know, it's an interesting question. It goes back originally, some young people I was associated with as a young man had some issues and were runaways, and you kind of gain an affinity for the struggles that certain people have. And then as I grew older, my mother and sister and father were all involved in public defenders and juvenile situations. So I became pretty well aware of I guess, the societal disconnect with young people in particular. And then in about the mid-90s to later 90s, I became hyper aware of teen sex trafficking and what today has become the soup du jour of human sex trafficking, but it's been going on for a very long time. So I started to work to fight online child pornography and teen sex trafficking back in probably 1997, 1998.
Now, my understanding is you've done a major series on human trafficking.
Yes, we did. One of the affiliated programs with Ion Productions, which is the parent to this show, Facets, we did a series where we started doing interviews with organizations like the Children of the Night in Van Nuys, which is America's leading domestic sex traffic rescue, where they rescue children from 11 to 17. We decided that one of the problems with human trafficking as a subject in general is that people want to relate human trafficking with foreign nations. They want to relate it with that evil that happens over there, when in truth it's happening right here. And so executive producer David McNeil and I decided it's time to shine some light on the reality here. And so we started interviewing organizations, the Women's Transitional Living Center here in Orange County, Casa de Familia in Orange County. And we started pointing out that these crimes against our children are happening right here. We did a recent interview with Anaheim PD's sergeant, and we're continuing that series to show that our own children, as well as foreign nationals, but our own children are being sold for sex in America, and it's a tragedy.
Okay. Now, I know most of that's a human problem, a human situation. Have you seen anything in the technological world that is helping in any way with this? Any recent changes, perhaps? Or?
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you, I think some of the stuff that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has done, for example, with the human morphing, the ability to take the facial features of a young child, for example, that has been kidnapped and to morph them into an adult, has been phenomenally powerful in the recovery of a missing child. One of the things that happens in the sex trafficking world is a child disappears. And the way that works is they move them from city to city so that they can't be identified, or that if they might be identified, they're moved quickly enough so that even if law enforcement might get a sniff of where they might be, they're gone already. So one of the things that's been great about that technology is that if they're missing for a few years, we used to not have any option. We had no idea what they might look like. And this technology, for one, has been pretty great. One of the big risks in America today is that our kids and our parents have a massive digital gap. There is this incredible gap, as you know, I'm sure, between our children's ability to deal with technology and their fundamental understanding of how it works, and the adult understanding of technology. And fortunately, I'm ahead of my own children still, but
you're the only one then.
One of the few. But that gap causes a significant danger. Yeah. It's one of the only places in our lives where we, the adults, cannot be the mentors to our own kids. And unfortunately, we have to rely on certain technologies to do that. So there are technologies, and I don't name brands because I'm not here to help certain companies, and in fact, there are some that aren't that great. So I recommend you find technologies that allow you to view and understand what you're doing, sit down with your kids, and frankly, I don't want to hear the excuses you don't have time or you don't understand technology, because if you can watch TV and you can know what's going on 24, or you can know what's going on whatever the current television show is, or read the current you know, sex novels or whatever it is that's going on in your life, you can certainly spend the time to learn a little bit about technology to keep your children safe. So yes, there are some technologies that help. In addition now, cell phone tracking technology, for example. I think a lot of people say, I would never give my child a cell phone at 9 years old. There are risks to giving a cell phone to a young child. But on the other hand, I used it as a mechanism to know where my children were at all times, and was able to. Now, today, you can actually go on the internet and see where they are within a few feet. So we have to figure out where that balance is, I suppose.
Interesting that our kids may know more about this than we do. Are there things that you think we should be learning from our kids about what we could be doing different there?
You know, I do, and I think that's probably one of the best approaches that you can take, rather than being confrontational with a child and demanding that they not do it, or trying to place walls or firewalls around your kids. Trust me, you are not going to outsmart a child when it comes to technology. I have seen young men whose parents have put Net Nanny, for example, as one of the technologies that you can use to block kids. And I'm not using this to advertise for them. I'm saying this is a good example. And this young man pulled the hard drive out of his dad's computer and put another hard drive in the computer when dad would go to work, and he had his complete free reign and he could do whatever he wanted. So if you don't spend the effort to try to gain a partnership between that kid, and in fact have the child teach you. Yeah. If you become a partner in this discussion, I think they'll be much less likely to try to hide what they're doing, and I think you also would probably have a better chance to discover when they're not telling you quite the truth. Okay. I think that's important. The other thing is, it really is a dangerous thing to have any child in a room by themselves, you know, when they're young, with a computer. There are people, and people say, oh, you're using fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You're damn right I am. There are a lot of very bad people in the world who, whether they want to sell things that they shouldn't to your child, whether they want to get access to them, they will spend years trying to groom your kid into doing things that they shouldn't. The way I look at kids are like a blank tape. Once you put it on there, you can't take it off. So whether it is inundating them with marketing images, or whether it's inundating them with sexual pornography images, whatever it is, and I'm not opposed to that as an adult, but as a 12-year-old boy, I am. Yeah. So I make no judgment on what adults do, but I do, and you can't stop it. There's no limits on what you can see when you have access to the free internet, right? So one thing I do tell parents is don't put computers in the room, put it out in the living room where it can be seen or somewhere in the common area of the house.
Okay. Now, have you seen particularly good examples with parents and their kids or kids and their parents that you would say, hey, this is a good way to do it?
I have. You know, I think while I'm a little critical, you have time. I do also recognize in today's world, especially with the economic challenges, there are parents that are going to school and trying to work a job and so on and so forth. So don't think that I am completely callous. But I have seen examples where parents will see it as their hobby, and they actually will spend the time to try to learn, and it becomes something interesting and fun. In fact, one woman started a commerce business with her son in order to become more integrated with him, and they actually made a bunch of money.
Okay.
So,
we'll to get them on the show.
Well, and she's yeah, I might be able to talk her into
Okay.
it. But you know, there are examples of ways that you can spend that energy and also find a better, you know, way to interact. We don't have the ways that we used to. I mean, we don't go outside, we don't do sports, we don't do the things as people that we used to do. So our kids are going to be absorbed by technology, and if we don't find a way to become a part of that, trust me, the media and the other people are going to be a part of your children's life. So, you know,
Do you have any sense with the interactions you have of where the technology might be going next with, you know, helping our children, helping them be more safe, more secure? Do you see anything coming around the corner that?
Unfortunately, from the safety perspective, I think awareness is really the only thing that can help. I'm a hardcore libertarian, so one of the things that really comes down to is the government. Every time the government tries to do something, what they'll say is, okay, only children of the age of 13 and up are allowed to log into this website. So the kids lie about their age. You know, and then what you end up with now is a group of people where the assumption is that everybody's 17 or everybody's 13 and up, when actually they're 9 or they're whatever. That's not the solution. It really does come down to the fact that it's about parents and it's about the family and the community that they're in. I would like to see a lot more public education being available, whether it's through the Boys and Girls Club or whether it's through, you know, your local community. We do have a significant cultural gap that if we don't do something about it pretty quickly in the poor communities, we've got a bigger problem. And that is that those kids that grow up in a community that don't have access to computers from the time they're young until they're adults and then grow to be adults, they don't know how to use them. They don't know how to protect themselves from, because they've never been trained, they've never learned, they've never seen them, they don't touch them, they don't know how they feel. It's not integrated in the synopsis of their brain. So to me, the bigger risk is really for the young adult who's never been exposed than for that child who grows up being exposed, if they're properly trained. I do also think we have a problem with addictions, and that comes to Facebook, Twitter. These are serious problems. There are massive distractions when it comes to business and life and so on. So from the safety perspective, no technology is going to ever make a child safe. I think we have to find a way as a community to convince children to be safe rather than trying to corral them in some way through technology.
Well, let's follow up on that. You talked about what parents and their kids can do in the home, and then we said, you know, the government thing may not be the answer. Are there particular things you've seen in the community that are effective, educational programs or things so that people can get involved?
Yeah, in fact, I was involved with a group, WebWise Kids, and there's another group called I Keep Safe that have done some really interesting things with online games. There's a game for cell phone safety called It's Your Call that was created by WebWise Kids. There are several games that really take a child through the behavior of what grooming looks like, for example. And it is amazing to see the light go on and they go, oh, so that guy who says he's 16 online, he really isn't, he's a 42-year-old creeper? Yeah, that's probably right. Then there's also the anti-bullying stuff. One of the really unfortunate things that has come from the disconnect and the anonymity of the internet is the ability to abuse other people without retribution, and to do it without even have to see the feelings that you're creating. unlike at least if you're bullying somebody to their face, you have to see what it does to them. You know, so yeah, there are some really amazing people in some incredible not-for-profits that are doing some really awesome things. Unfortunately, the economy has devastated a few of them. Okay. So I don't know by name, you know, exactly, but I know that there's a couple that I had some immense respect for that have been around for the last decade that have disappeared. So it's hard to say.
Well, look, you've been very nice about switching the chairs here today and being the interviewee. Are there any things you've been thinking about over the last few months? You said, boy, if I had a chance to be in the interviewee chair, here's what I'd like to tell the audience.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, oh my God, I could go all day long. One of the things I'm in the middle of right now is dealing with the issue of our national infrastructure. If I can completely change channels for just a second. There is a major problem with what is called industrial control systems and or supervisory control and data acquisition. And for those that not to get too deep into the geekiness of this whole thing, our physical world is managed by switching that is controlled by computers. And unfortunately, those systems were designed by engineers that didn't have any concept of evil when they did it. They didn't think about the potential for bad people to want to do bad things. Unlike computer people, everything is kind of generally considered and designed with security in mind. So what we effectively have today is a highly insecure infrastructure with everything from our gas and our electric and even our nuclear facilities. And I don't care what anybody tells you, they're lying. And this has been proven by the best of the best. And I'm in the middle of right now going on a campaign to try to get the country to realize when our government says that there is a potential for a digital 9/11, they're not kidding. They're not fear-mongering. They're not, unfortunately, because we're coming back on the backs of Iraq and the lies that occurred there to get us into a war, it's a little hard to buy into their credibility. But I can tell you, this one's very real. And if we don't invest some money into upgrading our national infrastructure to make it safe, we all could face a really serious problem. So yeah, if I had more time to talk about that, I'd love to.
Well, maybe one way to get to the audience, you've written an article, as I understand it?
I have. There's an article that's due out today or tomorrow, I think, in the Technolink Association. There's another article I can't talk about because it's in a national magazine that's due out in another week, and that's actually a profile on me and this whole subject. It'll probably beat this show out, but if you do anything as a country, stop fighting, and trust me, I'm libertarian, I'm a physical conservative. I have serious concerns about our deficits. I have serious concerns about the waste of money that has occurred. But this is one of those places where debts be damned, we better do something. And in fact, it's one of those places where the Hoover Dam, for example, was a very worthwhile investment. I genuinely believe that we need to do this. So.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you switching chairs. And
thanks for the opportunity. It's kind of fun.
Good luck with all the endeavors you're tied up in here. Thanks,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.